episode, dude.
TopLobsta Productions.
I didn't spend $3,000 on this chair. I found it in the trash yesterday.
These ain't loyal, and they like. I think he's right. The world's crumbling around them, and they're like talking about what was on, the CW last night. Did you catch Smallville? Smoking weed is not the sin. The sin is that it clouds you. It makes it harder to hear my voice, and easier to be influenced by the voices of others.
And also the moment where I that dog that had been pestering me through this like journey that I was on in the forest in the dark. There's this dog illuminated by moonlight just pestering me, and it was all I have to offer you guys is
made up words.
Words.
It's a grotesque, faceless, naked bodies engaging in sin.
Not good.
Not great.
Not great.
Yeah, not what I'd like to.
No. Hey, isn't it interesting that they show you that demons are real and the spiritual realm is correct or does exist, but they're not ever mentioning Christ? Yeah, you'd be surprised how many are doing witchcraft out there. I think it's way more common than we think.
We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Oh yeah, dude. There's some Nephilim.
It's like we all know what's going down, but no one's saying shit what happened to the home of the brave. These motherfuckers, they controlling us now, and no one's talking about how they made us fight and be slaves. And everybody's just walking around, heading the clouds and won't awaken to a dead in the grave. But then it's too late, we need to be ready to raise up. Welcome to the end of days.
Everybody is slaves, only some are aware that the government releasing poison in the air.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of NDS Chronicles, the show where we read your submitted paranormal testimony. I am David Lee Corbo, a.k.a. The Raven. That is TopLobsta, the father of disinformation. And before we get into today's show, we must warn all the pores that sometime around the 30-minute mark, we're going to be going live exclusively to patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad, where if you sign up for the $10 tier, not only can you keep watching this episode, engaging in the live chat, and enjoying an ad-free experience, but you could also gain access to day 1 and day 2 of Bohemian Grove. Is this loud?
It's okay. It's fine.
It's okay. It's all right. Guys, for $10, you get access to 12 hours of raw, unhinged, chaotic content. We had a beautiful camera fixed right in the center of the room that caught everything that happened. And if you want access to it, if you're experiencing FOMO, if you are a FOMO, you can go on over to patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad, sign up for that $10 tier, and watch a ton of really, really wild content. You can even see the moment where we announced on stage that we struck Iran and then pulled up a Trump impersonator to read Trump's tweet in real time. It was actually really incredible.
Good times. It was
good times. So all that and more awaits you for only $10. Man, aren't we generous? Aren't we good to the people? $10. I mean, we could easily people. Charge $6 million for that. I would say
sounds a little high.
It sounds a little high, but I mean, you know what I'm getting at. It's a lot.
We're charging $1,500 for the mommy tier, and nobody has joined. And I think I was like, well, what do you want from us? I mean, $100 for the daddy tier. We'll call you daddy. No members
for the mommy's tier, right? Or is it 15? Well, Millhouse, he said he was going to sign up for the mommy tier. He lied. He's a liar.
He's a liar.
He is a liar.
Zero.
But if you want us to call you mommy, that's an option. We're not above doing that. A little pay to play action for all the mommies and daddies out there.
Shout out Israel.
Shout out Israel. Guys, we're going to get straight into it. We made promises to Thomases on the previous episode, and we have a couple of things coming out, down the pipe this week. I have to go out to not only a birthday party, but also a wedding. So we said, why don't we double down on content? Why don't we finally make good on the promises we've made to Thomases? And so we're going to start today with Tom Sarotnak. You guys might remember him.
It feels like a Make-A-Wish sort of thing.
It does feel like a Make-A-Wish. Well, Thomas doesn't have much time left. And And what he wanted more than anything was for his story to be read by a couple of he is the guy whose dad was on like the Power Lifters for Christ, those dudes that like rip phone books in half for Jesus. You know what I'm talking about? We read 2 of his submissions, and then we had to take a break because we experienced Sirotnak overload. And just in typical Thomas fashion, he sent us another, what is it? 11 pages, 9 pages, 9/11. So we're going to get into it this time, and we're going to stop putting this off. We had to give other people a go, but now it's time for Thomas. You want me to start it, or do you want to start it?
Go ahead and start it up. I'm excited. He's been nudging us for a while. And I also wonder,
Ryan, this is not pre-recorded. Why would you
Ryan
think that?
Yeah, no, we're here, unfortunately. We're here. But you know who's not here?
Thomas?
No.
Who's here? Oh my God, where is she, dude? Again, no call, no show. I gave her a write-up yesterday. Nancy is in hot water. I don't know what to do. It's like you really pull for somebody.
You know,
as far as like, it's climbing like the ladder.
The corporate ladder. Yeah, you think a slap would do it, but no. Perhaps next time a closed fist.
We got to close a fist. We got to stick her straight in the forehead. She's a little tall, though. I'll have to get a step ladder to do it, but I'll stick her straight in the forehead. A little tall. I'm not above doing that. And it's all just because I want what's good for her. You know what I
will say, when we were at Bro Grove, and I was like, I think I was at the merch stand, and I'm talking to Donut and helping out, and I see some tall walk in with a Timeline Cleanse shirt. And I immediately recognized it. I'm like, look at this. It's like, because I only sold like 3 of those.
Unbelievable. Guys, why aren't you buying more Timeline Cleanse merch? Do you guys not love me? This is insane. Yeah. And I think Nancy bought all 3 of them.
Yeah, no, I think she brought most of them. Yeah, guys, go to TopLobsta.com, the Nephilim Desk. We have to make your own Timeline Cleanse page. But
that's what we got to do.
You got some Raven stuff. Guys, the new shirts will be up fairly soon. Fear not, it's sold out like crazy. But yes, we'll be doing things eventually soon. We're getting back to work. But yeah, I see this tall walk in
wait, this tall.
There she goes. She walked in like a skinwalker. She's like real tall. She had to duck under the door and like walked in. I was like, who is that? And then she introduced herself as she goes like, but in strange, in ancient Babylonian, she's like, I'm Nancy. And I was like, oh my God.
I was like, that language hasn't been spoken in thousands of years. I don't understand what you just said.
Like spiders came out of her eyes, and I was like, Nancy.
It was blood actually that came out of her eyes. We got to do this. Shout out to Elohim. I want an NDS Hawaiian shirt. We have to do that. We've been talking about it since the show's inception, and we will do that. But Nancy, she did a fast one on me where she just walked up to me and stood in front of me. And I recognized the Timeline Cleanse shirt, so I was like, oh, this is incredible. Who is this?
It's like, it's weird because you see the Timeline Cleanse shirt like eye level, right?
Yeah, it was eye level.
And then you look way up and you're like,
when I hugged her, it was like almost like a motherly embrace, like a child embraces their mother.
She picked you up. She cradled you.
She picked me up and cradled me. But she didn't even say, hi, I'm Nancy. She just stood in front of me and said, hello. And I said, well, hello.
She's like,
she said, I demand the blood of an innocent. And I shook her hand or whatever. And then finally, after making me bask in the awkwardness of that interaction, she said, I'm Nancy. And then that changed the whole thing, honestly. I almost got emotional. I said, oh my God, I can't believe it's Nancy.
She goes, hey, Top, what's your blood type? I'm like,
that's exactly. She went, A positive. I was like, whoa, what the How did you do that?
We like Nancy. We just wish she'd show up.
Yeah, really. It'd be nice if she ever showed up for work. Really great coworker, but she's just never here. You ever work at a place where like your favorite coworker is always slacking and never shows up? That's very much what it's like. What the was the point of this rant? We were gonna say something.
We're trying to fill time. We're like, do we have to really read Tom's story? And I guess we do.
I feel like there was something we were gonna say. I don't remember what the hell it was. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm sure it wasn't important. Let's get on to Thomas's story. You want me to start it off, or do you want to start it off?
I'll start it. Fine. I see, because I realize that you don't want to read. So
that's not what it is. I have something in my throat. I keep having to clear my throat.
She's still in Florida.
You're still in Florida?
Oh God. God. Right. She's watching us. All right. Hey guys, and Nancy. It's Tom from NDS Chronicles, episode 11, Power Team. Yeah, we know. We did 2 of those, episode 11 and 11A and 11B.
Yeah.
All right. I know you guys have been busy kicking ass, busting out content, but you never did finish reading what I sent you.
You pieces of...
Sounds like a threat. There's some really cool stuff you never got to read. Wow. So we're just saying that kind of language right off the bat, huh, Tom?
This is a family show.
Yeah, we were talking about like dialing it back and you just snuck that in on me, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm. We have to read what they say.
Yeah, we must. It's a contractual obligation. So I'm sending the story right where you left off, only updating it this time around a little to help remind you of what went down so far. Hoping you give me an outrageous part 3. Well, me too. I like how you he's upgraded the story for us, so he's just making up new parts.
I like that. He's like, they didn't like the first one. I got to make some up and inject it into the... Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
I think that's what Kate did yesterday. She was like, she got our like, she's like, I know what they like. They like this. And then she just started writing crazy. And we're like, we like that.
I like that. I like that Kate is such a fan that she would make up an entire life story about being in that Utah disciplinary camp, barking like a dog on all fours until she sobbed. Well, she said she didn't, but she watched girls do it.
What a crazy
Allegedly.
Story. I forgot that she said that.
Phil came in and stripped his skin off, and he was actually a Wendigo, and it was a horrifying experience. Yeah, I get it.
That was the least surprising part of the story, actually.
I always knew he was a Wendigo.
Here we go. So yeah, if you guys missed it, that one's called Kate's Story, or Kate's.
Is that what we named it?
That's what I named it. It's just Kate's Story.
Kate Stories. You guys can find it easy. All right.
All right. Here we. You should write a book, Kate Story. It's actually kind of right spooky.
Not bad.
All right. Here we go. After that experience of losing my legendary strong showman for Christ, father, from the brain aneurysm, I struggled for many years. I forgot that that's where we're at. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Wow.
I forgot that his dad died, and we were like, we're not going to read it anymore.
Yeah, we're like, it's over.
It's over.
We're done.
Yeah. Oh my God. Everybody, should we just address my chair? I didn't spend $3,000 on this chair. I found it in the trash yesterday. I was driving. I was driving back from dropping my mother-in-law off at the airport, and I passed the dumpsters, and I said, well, would you look at that? Supple leather, broken in already, a lived-in feel. It does a little pivot back and forth. It's better than the previous chair that I had, and so I tossed it in my trunk, and I drove several hundred feet back to my apartment. And so yeah, now I'm living large, moving on up in a dumpster chair. Not the first time I've taken something from a dumpster, and it certainly won't be the last.
I still have to make the dump. What is it? Dunkin' dumpsters. Dunkin'
dumpsters or dumpster donut. Yeah. Dunkin' dumpsters would be a banger of a shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Did you check to see if that thing is haunted or not? The chair before you
No,
brought
I
it to your
thought
house?
about that, but it seems like the only thing I found in it was a pretzel. So I'm like, somebody probably had a good time in this thing. I don't know. You know what I mean? It just seems like it had a good home. It's got a good vibe to it.
What do you mean a pretzel in it?
Like a pretzel stick. Because when I took it in to my home, I had to vacuum it really good, and then I had to wipe it down with Lysol wipes. And the only thing that I found in it was a pretzel stick. Good God, look at this! It's Rebel for Truth. Just numerology is king. I get it. Dude.
Calm down.
Isn't it like to be a king? Don't you have to be like at least sentient? Like,
we got one
is
sentence.
a study.
We got one sentence in to Tom's story, and this is Tom's promise.
I know, and then we derailed yesterday. Yeah.
Thomas's promise.
Numerology showed me where to find this chair. By the way, that's how I used numerology and astrology, and it said, "Go to the dumpster, go get a chair," and that's where I got. All right.
Wait, at first he said, get Gary, the numbers guy, to go to your podcast or an event. You're out of your mind.
Why would I do that? He's fat. He smells like he's a bad guy. Rebel literally the other day, he's like, he's a black magician. I'm a white magician. And I don't know if that means Rebel's white or black, like ethnically. But, I don't want black magicians at my... That's not cool.
No, not good. Not good. All right, back to Tom. Thomas's promises. Here we go.
Thomas's promises. We've made a bunch.
His dad died. This sucks.
Very sorry.
As the New Zealander prophet said, because I became isolated from the body of Christ, the church, which is commanded by God, do not forsake the fellowship of the brethren, and just as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. I was not reading the Bible. Unfortunately, that discipline had not yet been instilled in me, nor would it be for another 3 years. Years where I backslid into an even worse Christian than I had been before. Extreme loneliness and chasing the wrong woman will do that. I know many men know what I'm talking about. These ain't loyal, and they like, damn, you're a wild boy, Tom.
Oh my God, not good.
Yeah.
Women who like that's a huge red flag.
Yes. Yeah. You probably attracted a lot of women that like. with
Oh
the
yeah,
way
sure.
you-
I definitely did attract quite a few. It's always white women too. I never really knew any Spanish women that were super into, but I knew a lot of white girls that were crazy about, and all of them, several abortions deep, multicolored hair, and now years later, decades later, very fat. Go figure. Maybe get back on the. I'm
Who
sorry, that
knew?
wasn't-
He said, I was still quite young, pretty virgin until I was married, and extremely inexperienced outside of anything beside being a scumbag, wannabe outlaw, moonshiner, hillbilly, who grew marijuana, who was fairly good with who loved to get high and talk to people about the mysteries of God, which he revealed to me, like a total jackass, to stop. Now he's just plagiarizing.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to cost you $7
Yeah, actually, yeah.
or $8, right? Numerology, Rebel for Truth, right? It's $8. That's what we want to charge him. Go on.
That's the try. Yeah, that's the sign for money. All right. I'd fallen into many New Age type of beliefs in addition to my Christian faith for my lack of proper guidance and lack of knowledge. Never denying Christ, but being far too open-minded to non-Christian beliefs, mixing with the scripture. Once again, my people perish for lack of knowledge. I did not quit smoking weed, despite God warning me that it brings confusion. Little did I know, I had cursed my life by engaging with various occult things in the next few months after my father died, including most prominently astrology. Gay, yes. But hey, I didn't know any better, and I thought I could sanctify it by refusing to acknowledge the demon gods behind it and recognizing that God created the stars to speak to us. So this is kind of like what Rebel continues to talk about. He's like, hey, come in and please engage in numerology. And we're like, no, we acknowledge that it works, but I really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, actually, yeah. But so since Rebel's here, Owen did a stream the day before he performed, and he sent it to me. He goes, look at this. This stream was 4 hours, 44 minutes, and 44 seconds long. Completely random that it would end on, especially the way you end a stream. You press it, and it takes a couple seconds to end. So it's not like you can end it exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'll
there's a
end-
delay.
There's a delay. It ends when it kind of wants to. So it's like he really ended it at 42 seconds or something like that. And it just happened to be perfect. And I was like, there's that number. That's a number of order. You know, it's like in my idea. So I'm aware of what it is, but I'm not seeking to do it. I just see, like, when it's presented, I'm like, oh, there it is. You know, I was like, yep.
That's what, yeah. So he says like numerology is the energy of the day. That's a much more that's a much fairer statement, Rebel, than numerology is king, because king is like, it's not even a sentient thing. It's an observation about the realm that we inhabit. That numbers have quite a bit of impact over like personality traits, which I'm reasonable, and also. Should you work on this day? Should you study on this day? Should you rest on that day? There you go.
I think they just dinged us they dinged me for, I guess that's my Jerry Marzinski. Everybody drink.
There you go.
But that's not fair. Early. That's not fair. We just did a big event, and yeah, it's still relevant.
Yeah, damn it. We're still allowed to talk about Sam Tripoli and Owen Benjamin. Maybe we talk about, some of them more than we talk about other ones. We haven't mentioned Jake Shields maybe but 3 times. Elijah maybe once. There's twice. Anyway, but, what I've found is that these things, like, did we set out to do
no
our event on the summer solstice?
No. I set out to do it on Juneteenth, and I failed.
Right. We were trying to do it earlier, and we had to push it back for like a number of reasons, and it ended up falling on June 20th and 21st, which
That's
obviously
right. It was
is
supposed
a massive
to be
day. What's that?
It's supposed to be the week before, but Sam was busy.
The week before, yeah.
So we like switched it around. We were actually doing it the week before because Toad's gay ass wanted to do Pork Fest.
Pork Fest, yeah, which is like.
So we had switched it to accommodate Toad, but then Sam couldn't make it, and we were like, Toad, you and Pork Fest. And then obviously everything played out how it played out. But yeah, the plan was never to even do it on this weekend. And it just...
Yeah. So the way I see it is like, I spent a long time studying these things. And then once I submitted to God, then, we didn't sacrifice Toad.
Forgot.
Well, it was the opposite, right? We set out, so the elite sacrifice on those days, but we set out and did something beautiful on those days. And that's different. And we never even set out to do it. But yeah, it's just interesting because I find that the numbers all line up very often, but I don't try to make them line up. And I think that is, and then there's the elite who are desperately trying to orchestrate everything on this day and that day at this time and all this. And that's because they're afraid and they need to control everything. And I don't want to be like that. That's gay. All right, let's continue.
But it is funny how it does line up when you're not even trying.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, I didn't know any better. I thought I could sanctify it. No, you can't. And recognizing that God created the stars to speak to us. There's probably truth to that, but it's been way too corrupted by a millennia of pagan and demonic perversion. I think he's right.
Well, I mean, it's like the Mazzaroth, right? Where Ed Mabry highlights that like the story, God's story is already written in the stars. You know, and so I go, oh, that's fascinating.
I was talking with my coworker yesterday about like we were talking for 4 hours, and he's like he's an atheist, but like he kind of he's like having to reconcile that there's something there. But we were talking about all the ancient mythologies. It's not that he's an atheist, but he's like I like him because he's like super headstrong. He's got a problem with authority. And that goes all the way up to God. And I was basically explaining to him, like, I was like, listen, man, I'm the same way, but it's been a lot easier. Like obviously, like I'm bringing myself through a lot of stuff. Like I'm using my brain to do a lot of things, but like there's some points where you just gotta like submit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I guess
really
you'd say,
that.
Yeah. JR said agnostic. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
where
I would
he
consider
stands.
myself if agnostic means I don't know. I was agnostic for a long time because I was always like, I had my suspicions that there was something going on. And I even had my suspicions that it really did favor the narrative of Jesus Christ, but I just didn't know. And then once I had some gnosis, which is gay, you know, I think I'm experiencing, we've talked about it, the doubting Thomas thing, where it's like God showed me some, he's like, now you got to go further, dummy. That's it.
Yeah.
But so I was agnostic until I was at a tipping point. And once I was at the tipping point, I was like galvanized and now, you know, Christian, in the strictest sense of following Christ.
Yeah. But we were talking about all of these, the ancient mythologies and how they kind of like tell the same story, you know, especially the thing about Jesus, where it's like, he's like, oh, well, this is the story of Enki and Enlil and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but it's written in the stars, like which was written first, because and he's familiar with astrology too. And he was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, it's hard to argue with that. Like this was written before and it's just consistent and constant plagiarisms or recreations, but never accurate of how these things play out.
Yeah.
So it was like
And
very interesting.
one more thing. I want to address Rebel real quick. So when it comes to
This guy should pay us. Rebel, you should
No,
join
I
the
like
Patreon.
him.
I know,
you know,
but we talk to him all day.
Yeah, well, he's got some ideas that I don't think are not interesting, but so when I saw like the numerology thing and I saw how much of it explained my own nature, and I said, oh, okay, yeah, like that, I can see how those attributes resonate with me pretty spot on in a wild way. It was like I'm a 7-day and a 33 life path or something. But then beyond that, I'm not using it to try to plan my life, and instead I'm using faith in God to plan my life, or really just asking God to keep me in alignment with his will. And my life is blowing up. It's blowing up in this huge way. So I'm not using numerology. I'm just asking God to you know, put me in alignment with his will, with his plan. I want to do what he wants for me. And my life is blowing up. So it's like, what, you know, what, like, I don't need any intellect. I don't need to look at the numbers. I don't got to plan the days. I don't got to plan on the solstices and look at astrology and combine it with numerology. I just ask God to keep me in his will, in alignment with his plan. That's what I want. And my life is exploding in ways that I could have never even planned for myself. So
it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier, dude. It's so much easier.
This guy's doing math. What if
I can't even do math? That's what you don't understand, Rebel, is I can't do math, baby boy. I'm
Guys, watch Timeline Cleanse if you want to see David do math.
Oh my God, no. Please stop making me do math on Timeline Cleanse.
Please keep making him do math. All right, so there's probably truth to that, but it's been corrupted by and perversion. I was in a bad place after my father died, and I started chasing women who were no good for me. Led me right back into a life of sin, worse than before, just as the Bible warns in Matthew 12:43-45 and Luke 14:24-26. I quit smoking at the time, starting a few months before my father passed. When I first met God and I knew I was saved, I had weeks-long conversations with the Holy Spirit while I worked a security job, guarding a gate at the Orange County Fairgrounds. on the graveyard shift with nothing to do except read a book. And my Christian sister, Sharon, the good child, gave me, it's called The Holy Spirit, an Introduction by John Bevere. And that's highlighted. Let's see if Nancy did any, no.
No
Oh, yeah, she
footnotes,
did.
Nancy. Unbelievable.
Yes,
Unbelievable.
there's footnotes. Bevere's interactive study reveals the personality of the spirit, his language, 3 levels of relationship with him, and more. Includes daily devotions and discussion questions. Thank you, Nancy. I think Nancy
Nancy
added
did that. Was that Nancy?
Maybe. We'll
That might have
attribute
been
to
just
Nancy.
Tom.
It's possible. Nancy doesn't do.
That's
All
true.
right. When God was speaking to me clearly for the first time in my Christian life, one of the things we went over was God challenged me about identity, about image, about who I claim to be.
Oh, it was Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Good for you, Nancy.
Get back to work.
Yeah.
Stop in the chat. You're supposed to be working.
God challenged him about obedience. This was my soul meeting with God as I practiced John Bevere's books teachings. God started to open my eyes, my heart, and my mind. I smoke American Spirit cigarettes as I communed with God, and he taught me a great many things. That he loved me, wanted to be my friend, but to be with him, I must die to myself. That sin was like my mother's inability to stand the smell of my cigarette smoke. She loved me, wanted to hang out with me, but she couldn't handle the smell. She was very sensitive, and she'd start hanging out with me, then leave. Not because she hated me, but because she simply couldn't reside in the presence of the smell of smoke. So God showed me that this was how he treated sin. He showed me that the more I feed the relationship with him in meditation, in prayer, in deliberate calling upon him, and giving him the due respect he deserves to make the effort known to him, that he would always speak to me, and I'd become more sensitive and transformed in his presence. And I felt it. Oh my gosh, I felt it. I had my eyes open. I felt the true joy for the first time in my life. I thought I was incapable of feeling the way I did. The happy, I'm still chasing that. No one's fault but mine. Oh boy. So here we go.
Hold on, wait. Can you keep it up? I have to go make a big piss.
Oh my goodness. We
Fill
just
me
had
in
a
when
piss
I come
break.
back.
Hold on, wait up. Let's play a
Do we have a
song.
clip or anything from Bro Grove?
Do we? Let's see. We'll play the end of this.
What is it?
I don't know. Like right here where he's playing this song. Let me see.
I know he played another ukulele number on by Iran, which I thought was clever.
Okay, yeah, we'll play this right here.
I gotta piss hard, guys. I'm very sorry. I got a small bladder and I got no food in me, so all the coffee is just going through me.
This guy's the worst. All right, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. All right, guys, we're gonna have to play a song for you.
Oh, is this Baby Boomerville?
No, it's a different one. All right, guys, see you in a minute.
He looks insane.
He is insane. Bye.
Thank you. Dude, how about this little piano? I feel like this, like... I'm working on this other song. It's, because I'm obsessed with the rules, where I'm like, where is it? Oh yeah, here are the rules. Because I was thinking about this mayor, David, the Grabber. And I'm like, how can I make him happy? Because here's the irony of me. I like making people happy. When I see people laugh or feel good, I'm like, yes. And then I see this guy, he's so upset. I was going to do a show at his theater when they're probably going to do a sodomy performance or something. And I'm like, so what do you want from me? Like, what words did I say wrong and why? And so I really started compiling. This is called The Rules from the... Here we go. I'm going to be like totally riffing this. If anybody wants me to set it to a parody, just let me know. You can say spick if you say span. You can say slopes if you are skiing, but not about a guy from Japan. You can say if you're talking about armor, but not the little guys eating the dogs. If there's a Chinese knight, you can't say there's a in the armor, Oh, I see what you did. All right. You can't say unless you're owned by Columbia Records and you're talking about you can say if you say fun like what you eat with chips. Really means cheap and find that offensive no matter the context, which is insane. You can't do any black stereotypes about bike locks, but you can about big monkey cocks. 'Cause they'll feel sad, they'll feel bad, they'll feel pain, like when they see a bar of soap or a train. And we have to protect our and how they feel. Does anyone have a pejorative you want me to hit right now? I think I covered a lot. So it's like, you can say, if we're bombing in Vietnam, but right after you can't. You can say, or which means, which is actually the name of Japan. It's not Japan. Jap abbreviates Japan, which we made up. No one says Japan. It's called, so when you say, it's just abbreviating the word. Germany is Deutschland. We just made that up, but don't say. You can say necrophilia, which means dead body, but that's not the. No, the is a derivative of the Latin word, which just means black negra. But you're not allowed to learn Latin because then you'll know the tricks and schemes. You can put them in a ghetto and give them 50 years for having weed in their pocket, as long as you say, welcome to Attica, African American. These are the rules for the. It's just pure chaos. You can bomb a kid in Gaza, but you can't say in Leesburg. Thank you.
Wow, man.
Incredible.
That was so good. That was so good. I
bomb
forgot
a
that he
kid
did
in
that
Gaza, but you can't say in Leesburg is
incredible. Incredible. Honestly, I forgot that he did that one. And that was really good. These are the rules for the.
That one, I think he just off the top. That was fun. All right, let's back to the story.
Back to the story. Back to Thomas. The promises that we made to Thomas's. Let's go.
I like the musical interludes that we do. There's like comedy music.
Love
it's
it.
fun. Toad needs to do more. He needs to do more for us.
Oh, guys! By the way, we're gonna be at in New York City, something like New York City. In September 5th and 6th, I believe it is. Frank of Quite Frankly is throwing an event. We've been graciously invited, and I suppose we'll be performing in some capacity. I don't know what that's going to look like, but if you're in New York or in that tri-state area and you didn't get to see us at Bohemian Grove, you can come see us there. Details will be released, I guess, as we get them, but we'll be doing that. We'll be
early September. Right?
September. Yeah, by beginning of September, 5th and 6th. So if you guys want to come out, Frank is a killer. Love the show, Quite Frankly. It's one of my favorite shows to be on. He's one of my favorite people. And so I know whatever he's doing is going to be real good. And I think he said this, and he's a little inspired by a couple of. He goes, you know what? You're right. It's time to make culture. And the way you make culture is by doing stuff in real life. And so that's the heart of this. So guys, come and see us, come support us, and it would be nice to have some of the dangerous there. Follow Frank, and you'll see his announcements as you go forward.
And while you're there, bring me a gift because my birthday's right around then. And no, I won't tell you my birthday. Okay.
Bring me more Pokemon cards, guys.
I didn't get one gift. It's crazy.
I'll give you a couple Pokemon cards.
I don't want your cards.
You got to ask the people. You got to tell them. I said, bring me.
One day I deeply regret. That's actually just. I'm just going to say that. That's it.
One day
That's
I deeply regret.
One vision the Lord showed me while I was in that OC Fair parking lot. He brought me to a door. I knew I'd have to leave all sin, all my desires, all my wants behind to go through. That's actually an interesting thing I was talking about with my friend yesterday. His name's Willie. He's talking about Buddha. And
what if Buddha was, huh? No, I'm sure he was a nice guy, but
yeah, he was super, but it's interesting. Like he was meditating for a long time on what like drives humans, and he determined that it was desire.
Yeah.
And he's right. It's like whatever people want, you're going to get it. You're going to get what you want because you're going to continue to try to get it. And it might not be what you really need. So it's funny that you say that he's saying that he told him to like leave his desire at the door.
That's a tricky one. Yeah. Feeding your flesh all day in Baby Boomerville, right?
Feeding your flesh again
desires of the
Baby
flesh.
Boomerville.
That's what it is. We're here to conquer the desires of the flesh. That's why I tell you, like, consistently, I got to talk to God and give him a big shout out for
talk to God.
I got to do. I do. I haven't really done that in an intimate way since Bohemian Grove. I was stressed out, and then afterwards it went so well. It's like I clearly got to thank the Father, but I all my prayers are just consistently like, please, whatever your plan is for me, let's do that, because that can't be bad for me, right? That's not. I just desire whatever that is. I've tried a lot of doing what I want to do. Doesn't really work out that well, honestly. It wasn't until I started really pursuing a relationship with God that things started to work out. And so whatever he wants me to do, whatever his plan is, that's what I want.
Well, that's what we were talking about. So the idea of desire, it's what you want. It's what you're aiming yourself towards. So if it's money, woman, people, things, you're going to aim towards that. And when you don't get it, you're going to try to force yourself to get it. Shout out Jesus.
Shout out Jesus.
But if you orient yourself towards God, whatever that means, and that's the question that you've got to figure out what that means. I think I've sort of figured it out, but it's something that you constantly have to adjust and like recalibrate.
Yep.
Then things seem to turn out just fine. Just fine. So go ahead and do that. All right, let's keep reading Tom's promises. So he goes, I didn't feel ready. Instead, I sat on the curb outside this door and tried to preach to people outside the door to come walk through it with me. I deeply regret not walking through that door. Count the cost, I guess, is written at the time. It's something I plan to revisit soon with my communion with the Lord. Now that it's returning to my memory, back to it. God taught me many things, not only making basic biblical teachings and knowledge make sense, but obvious sense. I couldn't believe how blind I was to what I now perceive as such powerful simplicity. Me too.
Yep.
It's something that I was trying to explain to him yesterday, where it's like your own senses and knowledge can only bring you so far.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's quite tiring to beat your head against that wall. And this is this dude that I was talking to is the kind of dude that kind of mentored me through as we're working in a hellscape with a bunch of people that just don't get it. The world's crumbling around them, and they're like talking about what was on, the CW last night. Did you catch Smallville? This kind of yeah. And we're like, oh boy. Like, that's fine sometimes, but every day it's like that's just the monotony of their life that they can't escape.
Well, let me tell you, if you're watching CW shows on the regular, you gotta do some soul searching.
Yeah, dog.
You know what though? On the topic of, leaning not on your own understanding, when you do make that mistake, as I made that mistake for many, many years, and then once you come around to it, you realize like God's words are so powerful in their simplicity and so accurate. But what I do have now is kind of a deeper understanding where I can at least express that to other people. So that's kind of cool. Like I talking about the whole thing where I learned at a very young age that happiness is a decision and all that stuff. We talked about it yesterday. And so is choosing to not be afraid and choosing faith instead. That's also a decision. And when I was younger, it was because panicking and fear does not make any situation better. So I had that as the root understanding. But now as I've gotten older and I've come to a new place, I realize it's much more dynamic than that. And it's that really the root of trying to understand all these things is kind of fear. and that to let go. I always go back to that dream I had, right? I had that dream.
God.
I had a dream where I was on that pipe in the sky, and I turned around to whoever was behind me on the pipe. I said, we got to make a pact that we never forget where we came from. I fell off the pipe in the sky, and then I fell into a big hole in the ground. And in the big hole in the ground was this massive tree that, to me, it was like the tree of life. I don't even know if there's actual biblical precedent for anything called the tree of life. I'm not really sure. Haven't learned enough yet. But it was submission. Like I just let go. I had this pipe that I was trying to walk on, and it was very narrow, and the person behind me was freaked out. They were hugging the pipe, just trying to stay on it. And I was a little bit more lackadaisical about it. But either way, what ends up happening is submission. I give in, and I allow myself to fall off this thing. And then I end up in a place that is, far beyond what I was ever going to achieve on the pipe. So there's something there. Submission is like so counterintuitive. But it's what we're called to do over and over again, to submit to God's will.
It's what I was telling him yesterday. And it's hard. It's hard. I don't think this guy will do it. And I don't even know if I could have convinced him. I was at one point, I'm not even trying to convince him. I'm just telling him about me, because this dude is like, he's like one of these guys that was in the army in Nicaragua doing wild before. He's older dude before he worked for the MTA. So he's very much like, what can I do for myself? And I get that when you're most of your life is life and death. So
there's a terminology for that. I forget what it is. But when it's like, what does this do for me? It's not like self-centered. There's like an actual terminology. I forget what it is, but I mean, I get it. And that's a thing that a lot of people come out of the other end of a rough life thinking, right? Like, what can this do for me?
Well, you have
what
to.
Is it?
You're surviving in the jungles of Nicaragua. It was like, I mean, I don't know how far praying will take you, because I don't think you're supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah, dude, you shouldn't be there. You belong to no nation, no state. If you die, like the U.S. is like, that kind of, that's the kind of stuff that this guy was doing. So that mentality stays with you. But whatever, we'll see. I planted a seed. Let's keep reading.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. And God showed me that it was only possible to understand these truths through the Holy Spirit. God told me so much about identity, who I was, who he called me to be. You must die to yourself, to who you think you are, so God can transform you. Stop trying to be your own God. He challenged me about the things that I had said and believed about myself that I tied my personality to, my image, my identity as a rebel, as a cowboy. Cowboy smoke. Smoking was a big part of my identity, so God challenged me. Would you give up the cigarettes for me? Yes, Lord. Well, then prove it. Take out that brand new pack and throw it in the trash. I went back and forth with that as I was hearing the cigarettes are expensive.
In this economy, Lord?
In this economy, yeah, it's like I give them away. So is this really you, God? Do you really want me to do this? This cost me $12.99. Again, God said, the same. And I said, really, Lord? I said again, and he said the same. My pack in hand over the trash can are like, really? It's like, just keep on. Are you sure? And he said the same. Take out the brand new pack of cigarettes and throw it in the trash. I drop it in the trash, and immediately another weight was lifted off my shoulder, and I'm filled with overwhelming real joy. I lost all physical desire or physical craving to smoke immediately. I was so free, blessed. In fact, from that moment on, it was easy for me to stop doing any substance abuse for anything. I could do drugs for long periods of time and have zero problem stopping, which I proved and demonstrated on many occasions. And I can only attribute that to the power of God. After this experience, I sat down. Would you throw out your cowboy hat? God asked me. Yes, Lord, but please don't ask me to do that. My hat means a lot to me. So God laughed. He said, don't worry. I know you would. And besides, I gave that to you in love. I love it, but remember, my son, there's nothing I desire more than your obedience. Nothing pleases me more than obedience. He taught me about woman, which I later ignored. Prayer, meditation. I asked him about marijuana. Was smoking it a sin? Smoking weed is not the sin. The sin is that it clouds you. It makes it harder to hear my voice and easier to be influenced by the voices of others. This is something that you talked about.
Yeah. So to me, I think that God speaks to me through dreams, and I have dreams that aren't necessarily like meaningful. Some of them are just kind of like silly noise, it feels like sometimes. But then other ones are like, hey, homie, pay attention. Those dreams stop when I start smoking. And I kind of like did this thing recently where I was going on that terrible cruise, and I knew that I wasn't going to be smoking on the cruise, and I knew that I wanted to stop, but like, to be honest, man, it really, really had me. And so I said, okay, well, I'm just going to make sure that I have no weed before I leave for the cruise, and then I'm going to have 5 days of not smoking, and I'll use that as a launching pad to stop. And I did that, and it worked. And as soon as I came back from that cruise, I started having all these dreams. And I mean, that's where, it was like we did how many episodes back to back where it was like this dream, that dream, that dream, and it was all very profound. And it was also during, thank God, a really important time where I needed those messages, because I think without those dreams, I could have specifically been lost in anger and resentment and rage and all that other. But I was warned pretty profoundly, pretty straightforwardly, that sharing in that spirit will end me in the same place that basically the adversary is going to end up, which is the abyss. And that was like very obvious. There was no way around what I had received in that dream. And also the moment where I that dog that had been pestering me through this like journey that I was on in the forest in the dark. There's this dog illuminated by moonlight just pestering me, and it was all up, and its hindquarters were all bleeding, but it wasn't dead. But I had this opportunity right then and there to turn around and sink a blade in its heart and be done with it. And I did that. And then I didn't really know what that meant. Somebody I was talking to was like, that might mean poverty. And I was like, it didn't really feel like poverty. I think it was weed, dude, because really it's been a real problem in my life since like 16. So I think that old beat up dog was a habit that I tried to kick a bunch of times. I had some mild success for periods of time, months at a time or whatever, and then I'd always go back. But this time feels different. It feels very, very final. And I think that dream was, right after that, man, everything just started. I started getting like this, I would say it's the Holy Spirit, this really profound understanding of things during the tribulations that we just went through. And I think that I would not have had such a profound understanding of things. That was not me. Like I said, it was the Holy Spirit. I wouldn't have had that if I was still smoking.
It's funny. Like, so the last Bro Grove, there's probably some people in the chat at the Small Joke joint, that one. Before I went on stage to perform, I don't even remember which performance. I actually went out. I was real nervous. I went out in the back and I smoked a little bit. And one of them, they were like, "Oh, dude, Top is out here smoking," and he was like, "How cool is that?" Like, he said he's nervous, and I don't remember who it was. And then I went on, I did my thing, and I was like, "Oh, that was easy." But then I'm like, "Do I need this to do this?" And this time, I actually had it on. I had it in my bag, and I was like, "I'm not doing that." And I did, and I was like, "Oh, it's just fine." It's like, what was I even using this as a crutch? I could do the same with or without it. It's just a matter of mindset. I
thought the exact same thing. I thought, like, what's one drink or two? There was a point where I was going to ask my wife to bring a beer for me when I was on stage for the Jake Shields show. And then I decided against it because I was like, I just did the first day, no drinks. And then the second day, like, why do I need a drink? What is one beer going to do?
That's what I did on the Tripoli show. I had like a little bit of like a splash of vodka in that little cup. And then the next day I was like, I don't even know why I did that. As whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I think, to be perfectly honest, all it would have done is been to my detriment, because I know I don't ever do this show drinking or smoking or anything. And I've had like a couple of drinks on some Tower Gang appearances. And when I do TLC dark mode, I'll have a single shot of scotch that I'll sip on for the entire episode. And it's really just like, I don't know, I probably don't need that either. But I know that the reason I avoid doing any of that when I do a show is because, I heard he drank a ton, is because all I have to offer you guys is
made up words.
Words. That's it. That's all I have to offer you guys is words.
Fake words.
And so, and words I make up, words, the same 9 words that I have, other words I make up. I can't risk, compromising the one thing that I have to offer. And so, I don't engage in it at all. And I'm happy that I didn't have a drink at all for those 2 days. So yeah, man, you hear that as a slippery slope for like stand-up comedians. They'll have like a drink or two on stage. Next thing you know, it's like they need to do that. Right? They need to do that. Then every time they go on stage, they have to have a drink. And then
you're
it's like,
fucking Burt Kreischer.
yeah, and then you got to ask yourself, like, can I even do it without the drink? Can I even do it without the smoke? Like, yeah, I can't do it with those things, actually.
I want to address the chat really quickly again. Thanks
Guys,
a lot,
stop
Rebel.
fighting.
Yeah, guys, bro, NDS doesn't know who you are. We know who Scription is. I see him all the time.
Hell yeah.
We read what he says. But you know what? Just for that, you guys need to, number one, stop fighting. And then number two, now we're going behind the paywall. Now you haven't behaved.
That's it. Now we got to get away from the pores. That's it.
I'm
It's
sorry.
been an hour. Holy crap, guys. If you want to keep watching this, you can go over to patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. Sign up for the $10 tier, because when you're done watching this, you can watch 12 hours. You can binge 12 hours like a psychopath of 2 days of Bro Grove. And, $10 is a small price to pay. Either way, get out of here, you disgusting pores.
Yes.
It's
And
gross.
next time, behave. Okay? Because we almost
Behave,
forgot.
please.
Goodbye. Oh, I should have deleted that. All right. I'll delete it off YouTube in a second.
Did we say
okay.
Anything crazy? I don't think we said anything crazy.
We showed Owen Benjamin saying "gook" in
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's a
in
banger.
song, so we kind of have to delete that.
Yeah. All right, fine. All right,
That's
so
fine.
where were we? All of a sudden?
Yeah. Here we go. All of a sudden, everything became a lesson. Everything was happening for reasons. I was looking for God in all things, and He was in all things. I never felt that before. It makes me feel like a little bit crazy, because crazy people do this shit all the time too, but it is kind of real. So God told me to start writing it all down. I asked why, and He said, because I forget. Correct. I wrote down a lot in this time. I informed my mother of my newfound faith, and she was elated. I informed my father, who was still alive at the time, and he was proud. I started going to my sister's church, one where I later met that prophet from New Zealand, who warned me of my father's death. I also went to my mother's church, and the one that she'd already been taking me to. The one that was giving me the words of knowledge and prophecy. Every single time, people approached me with messages from God of encouragement, destiny, warning, and with blessing and of anointing. It didn't matter the church, the Holy Spirit. It didn't matter the church. The Holy Spirit flows in the same places that are truly His. It's His network. We're connected. And not all churches have the Holy Spirit, in my experience and opinion, and some are really dead. Yes, I'd agree with that. Here, I already told the story of what comes next, the tragedy of my father's death, and to get back to the point. So, when God rewarded my obedience with the ahoy of the, with the joy of, I guess, the joy of the Lord.
Could be the joy of the Lord, but I also like the ahoy,
Ahoy,
of the Lord.
matey. He's like, that's turned into a pirate real quick. It was amazing. Never felt anything like it, and I didn't smoke for a long time, about 5 months, only relapsing when I started chasing these bad hoes around after my dad passed from the aneurysm. Straight being a Forrest Gump looking motherfucker retard, over the course of the next 8 years, I let out all my scumbag, outlaw, hillbilly charm trying to impress these hoes, and then converted them. I'd eventually given up on finding a virgin after getting beaten down time and time again and blackpilled by what I witnessed out in the cesspool of the dating world. Or so I said to myself. Would rather die than keep being alone, I told myself. Took me right back into the life of sin with drinking, smoking roll your own cigarettes, smoking weed, and I even got into for a year and a half. Did David sell it to you?
It was
Maybe.
me. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I had to make a living. Something I swore I would never do. I was more lost than ever before. Started working HVAC construction and making moonshine to sell around the suburbs of OC in the backs of dive bars and in my deliveries. My best client was this dude and his girlfriend who were older. White trash as hell. My moonshine would cause so many drunken brawls between the two, I stopped selling to them. Anyway, went to this party at their house once, and this ham-fisted giantess who used to bare knuckle box men and win, who was an ex-stripper, was the girlfriend of this guy, my best clients. And she read tarot cards to me.
Wait a second. That's a crazy thing.
It's a crazy sentence.
Ham-fisted giantess who used to bare knuckle box men and win, who was an ex-stripper. This is
that's
really
death
cool
by
shit.
snoo. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Jesus. So again, I cursed my life with the occult. So she's reading tarot cards to him. Not a good idea, Jonathan.
But he really didn't have Thomas. We really didn't have a way out. I mean, she would have beat his ass.
Oh no, I said Jonathan, the guy who tried to read his tarot cards.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I also had a gay dude read me tarot cards. You guys know how that went.
Yeah. All right. So another time, my homie's Tinder date was this fat from Humble who came all the way down to OC. We hit it off a bit. Having come from the same area, she asked me if she could read my palm. I cursed myself with the occult a third time and let her. Finally, I had enough. Felt like a total loser. Couldn't have fun without anymore, which I recognized was a serious problem. And one where if I kept living like this, I knew if I kept living like this, I'd die. I knew God had this mighty calling for me, and here I was being this total loser. I needed to return to God, retardio, as you would say.
Yeah. That's cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, I'll read the rest of this page and then you pick it up.
Okay.
So, I was suffering from horrific nightmares again, which had temporarily ceased when I was in constant communication with the Holy Spirit prior and sometime after my dad passed. Every night for the last several years, I had these really sick, wicked stuff. One day, this realization of self-hatred, I go to try and meditate in a Christian way and pray like I used to in those days where God was constantly speaking to me. Return to your first love, as the scripture says, kept playing over and over in my head. And I sought to seek God in earnest. I go to my room, turn on some low volume worship music, and lay down on my back with my arms stretched out like I'm on the cross while laying on the floor. And I'm trying to focus on Jesus Christ, to worship him, to meditate and commune with him. Meditate on who he is as I used to, which in the past always filled my heart with the presence of the Holy Spirit. So much so you could feel an atmospheric shift when the presence of the Lord came that could be perceived by others. And as I lay there, I'm unable to focus on the image of the Lord. I come under what came to understand sometime after a demonic attack tied to witchcraft. Probably from who knows, man, you're letting some fat touch you.
Yeah. Well, she
Not
was
good.
ham-fisted. We don't know if she's fat. That was rude.
That was a
She's
different
got
fat.
big-
Yeah, the ham-fisted one only read him tarot.
Yeah.
Not great. So whether from what I did dabbling in occult things or legitimate assignments from demons set against me by actual witches or a combination of the two, I'm sure. As I tried to visualize Christ in meditation, my mind is filled with a vision. It's a grotesque of faceless, naked bodies engaging in sin.
Not good. That's
Not
wrong.
great.
Not great.
Yeah, not what I'd like to.
No. Oh, man. Just the concept of it, too. Like, a lot of dudes roll around thinking, like, oh, I'd love to be a part of a... Sounds so disgusting.
The smell
So
is probably
disgusting.
crazy.
Even the smell is crazy. Even in my much more debaucherous, like, teenage years, never was that appealing. I had been presented opportunities occasionally for, like, to hook up with more than one chick, and intimidating isn't even the word. It just was so obtusely wrong that even as a young drug dealing hobo, I wouldn't have engaged in it. I don't know, and I'm glad for it. I'm glad that I don't have that sort of looming over my head.
Yeah, man, we got to pray for Cole.
Yeah, we got to pray for Cole. I mean, did he really? Yeah, I mean, technically he did, yeah. It's just crazy because he was one step away from Toad jumping in on that. And then how do you save Cole's soul after that? That's crazy.
Dude, listen, man, I love Cole. But Cole also grew up. He grew up with this like a hard Christian bent as well. I think he should probably listen to the show, or like he would be an interesting person to talk to because he's one of the people that's kind of like forced into it in a really hard way, and then you see the reaction of
Yeah.
of that, and it's like that's not the way we're supposed to do it either.
No.
You know?
No. Well, that's the problem. Yeah, is like a lot of it is about like that's why I'm kind of glad the way that I'm raising my son is like I'm not forcing him to stay away from these things because I recognize I've seen it in many of my friends growing up. It's like religious, hyper religious kids often rebel the hardest and they go into a direction that looks significantly worse than even just a person who's not. It's like in Spain they'll allow their kids to drink wine with dinner for like the taste and like that. And what that does is it takes the taboo off of wine. Then it's not a method by which you rebel. So eventually this spirit of rebellion comes upon a child, and what do? They rebel against whatever has been seen as like an entrapment, and they go towards the things that have been tabooed. So I don't like taboo things with my son. I explained to him, I've been talking a lot about how in video games in particular, they will always show you like these demonic entities and shit like that, right? And I don't go like, not in my house, you little. Instead, I go, hey, isn't it interesting that they show you that demons are real and the spiritual realm is correct or does exist, but they're not ever mentioning Christ. That's like a real good trick that they do. I grew up playing Devil May Cry. It was one of my favorite games. You are a Nephilim, right? I've talked about this. You are the son of a demon and a human woman. By the way, your father, the demon, is a hero who saved the mortal realm. So they twist it there. It's like, no, a demon saved mankind, right? And you're the offspring of them. You're a Nephilim running around with a big ass sword. Demons by what? Your own power, right? Your guns, your swords. And there's no mention, even though there's so much mention of there's even like the Tower of Babel exists in that game, and they erect it and then use it to open up a portal to the demonic realm.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they do in that game. No mention of God. No mention of Christ. So they'll show you all those elements. It's
like, I guess when you're raising your kid, it's not just Christianity. Like, it's not just preachers' kids. We have a great example of it on Twitter. Destiny, that.
Oh, yeah. What's his bag?
His son, I guess his son is like a teenager. I didn't even know he had a teenage son. But his son is a groiper. And he's like, Dad, you're a. And he blocked him. He ended up blocking his son on Twitter. And I scrolled through his son's Twitter, like it's in the dangerous chat. I scrolled through his Twitter and I was like, hilarious. Like some of the stuff's hilarious. Who knows what the kid really believes? And it's probably like a lot of teenage stuff where he's just saying the opposite of his father.
Right.
But the reason you're saying the opposite of your father is not necessarily because you think he's wrong, but you've been there so long and this guy's like such a heretic about his beliefs that you have to explore the other side.
You have to.
Yeah. So you can't like, I don't know, whatever we're doing with this show as our kids grow up with it, we can't make this not Christianity like the center point. I don't know what the right word is, but you can't force it on them, and you can't
force it on them. That's what I'm trying to do is like, I think my kid is probably going to end up exploring the things that I also explored. But what I can give him then is these lifelines,
like a map,
really potent pieces of information that he's going to remember when he sees the patterns. So instead of other parents that are like, don't look at it, I'm like, I know you're going to look at it, but here's a lens through which to look at it. It'll make a lot more sense this way.
Yeah.
And, so now when you play, now he notices those patterns over and over again. He's like, yeah, dude, everything is about demons. Nothing is about Jesus. I'm like, yeah. So they're constantly telling you that this is real, but they're telling you that you can defeat them by your own power. That's number one. That's what we're not called to do. We're called to submit, right? We're not doing it by our own power. We're using the name of Jesus Christ to do these things. It's already been done. We already have the way. It's been made for us. We just need to, have faith in Jesus. And so now he's recognizing those patterns. So I'm not going to stop him from looking. That's impossible, really. And all it's going to do is make him an ill-equipped adult when he finally breaks away. He's no longer under your roof. Now he's looking at Aleister Crowley and wondering why he's writing poetry about sniffing a hooker's farts. So you gotta give them the tools instead of it's the exact same thing I've been talking about. Instead of protecting your peace by putting up a wall, you need to get good at filtering this so that you understand it. And now all I'm trying to do is give my son a good filter. And I think that that's going to go a lot further than don't look at it, because the world's going to get in.
Yeah, but also as the world gets more intense, like I don't know, I might want to be like, you don't look at that.
Well, some stuff, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff where I draw the line where I'm like, no, you're not looking at that. You're not looking at that. But I mean, as far as these concepts, like in video games that are made for kids, I'm showing him those things and I'm going like, yeah, look at that. Or like cartoons that are made for kids, but I'm still like old school dad. Like I don't, even though he hears me swear, I don't like when he hears shows swearing. Like he's got to go to his room. This is a show for adults or whatever. You've got to, we turn the volume down, all that kind of stuff. I don't like him. I definitely don't let him see any nudity or any crazy shit like that. But they just slip these elements into their video games and into their shows, and I have to help them. I have to arm them to navigate that.
Yeah. All right, let me finish reading this part because we don't have that much time.
I know, we only got to 4 of 9. We got to plow through this.
It's crazy. We made Thomas a promise.
Promises
All right.
to Thomases. Let's go.
I quickly am disgusted with myself for having that vision uncontrollably pop in my mind as I try to focus on Christ. I try to focus on Christ, and this new vision comes as if like I'm changing channels on a TV to this parade of demonic goblin-like creatures, almost like little orcs you'd see in The Lord of the Rings or something. They're hideous. They're parading down a street, partying, being obnoxious and loud and rowdy, flipping everything and giving everyone the middle finger is kind of funny. Drinking and vomiting all over as they continued with their rebellious march.
This is
and
a parade.
What was that?
I said it's just a parade.
It's just was it June? Was it June? Were you aware that there's a terror attack in Boulder, Colorado?
You know that?
I thought it was really weird considering I was trying to focus on Jesus. It's like, yeah, that is strange.
Mm-hmm.
And I try once again to focus on the Lord, and it flips to another vision. This one starts off in total darkness. I can see nothing, and then out of the darkness, I saw it shimmer like black water. And out of this darkness came a giant serpentine dragon, terrifying and uglier as I've ever seen depicted. Anger and hatred was its expression, shaped a little bit like an angry, snarling lion. Interesting. I'm picturing like the traditional Chinese dragon that you'll see tattooed.
Yeah, it's interesting because he said black water. I saw it shimmer like black water. I've seen that in 2 dreams.
That's like
black
the phone, right? Like it's like the cube where like the scrying cube, like it's kind of like shimmering, and then out of it comes this picture or image or something like that.
Right. It's like obsidian. But I've seen a giant serpentine dragon that was all black and shimmery. I've seen it in 2 dreams. One of them, it was calling to me to come and I don't know, like come and do battle with it, actually. And I was quite excited to do that. And then in the other one, it was above a Mayan temple, like an Aztec temple, that I was standing in front of at the foot of, looking up, and it was like weaving through the clouds. And I forgot about those dreams. Huh.
That's cool. All right, let's finish this. We're never going to finish this.
I know. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get through this.
This one starts off in total darkness. I can see nothing, and then out of the darkness, I saw it's shimmer like black. That we already read that. So this thing was it had this face of a snarling lion or expression like that, very similar to the dragons depicted by the Chinese. There we go. That's what I was saying. But far more horrific. It came out of the water and devoured me whole. I was getting incredibly discouraged.
That'll do it, dude.
Yeah. The heat in the room I felt dissipate. I was getting cold. This return to God experienced, I perceived, was not going well. I tried to focus on Christ, and it just kept like flipping vision like channels as I tried to find Jesus. I couldn't find it. It would
That's
repeat.
Interesting too, because channels are frequencies, right? But go on.
Yeah. But that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're trying to tune into something, but it's just not there, or you can't do it. Maybe it's all the drugs in your system.
Could be that, dude.
Yeah.
Up your antenna.
Yeah, that's true. So it would repeat the demon parade, the dragon devouring me. It was again and again and again, and I cried out to God to help me, to do a miracle, and finally I see a 4th vision. I look up to a blue, clouded, dark, stormy sky, and from it, a sword is thrown to the ground in front of me like lightning. And I instantly remember what I used to do as a kid when I had these demonic nightmares. And I took control and visualized in my vision. I grabbed the sword, and with it, I entered the next vision. I everything with it. Damn. I left not one naked alive in the... And it ended. I could not envision it again if I tried. Next, I saw the parade. I used the sword to lop off the head of every single demon goblin I could find, and it ended. It put me with the dragon, and when it sought to devour me, I rendered it and cut it out myself. Ended in its and cut myself out, and it ended. By this time, I could finally envision Jesus Christ, and the light shined upon me, and I awoke from this meditation, literally physically exhausted, cold, deeply disturbed by what I'd experienced, and discouraged. I crawled into bed and slept like a baby.
Jeez.
All right, can you go ahead and read this because my mouth is dry.
Nom, 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 nom. I have a very wet mouth, so I'm ready to go.
Perfect.
I awoke depressed. And since I was still living with my mom at the time, when she saw me, she told me, I don't know what you were doing, but last night I felt the power of God coming from your room so strongly, it filled the whole house.
Wow.
And I told her, really? Because all I felt was cold. And I told her my experience. She thought it was very interesting. Now we have a friend. I'm not sure she would want her name spoken on this podcast. Please refrain from her name's use. Let's call her K, but her name is... No, I'm just playing. So we'll call her K. And she is a top music producer in Los Angeles. She recently, at the time, underwent a deeply troubling experience she told my mom about, where she was rejected from getting inducted into the Illuminati. Oh, interesting.
Wait. A dream or?
A deeply troubling experience.
Whoa.
She
Okay, I'm
became an
actually
avid
looking her up here. Interesting.
You found her already?
Yeah, I found her. Okay.
All right. Let's see. And she became an avid conspiracy theorist from then on. Her eyes were opened. If I recall correctly, she had fallen on hard times, and her husband was sought out by a man in a suit at a coffee shop or something. And somehow they started talking. And he told the guy that his organization was very interested in partnering with Kay into the next stage of her industry. Her husband relayed that info to Kay, and she was very interested. She said they invited her to one of the tallest towers in LA. That's interesting, a spiritual high place. She compared it to when Satan brought Christ to the mountaintop and offered him the whole world. They made it sound to her, by her estimation, she would need to sleep with a number of men to get into the organization to make her one of the #1 music producers in LA in a more expansive way. This guy, who was it? We knew that. That's redundant. Goes into a back room, and she said she heard some really weird coming from that room, like weird chanting or something. The next thing she knows, the comes busting out in a fit of rage and tells her, "We know who you are. You are not welcome here." And forcibly grabs her by the arm and shoves her out the door. Super confused and upset. Long story short, she starts doing research, and she found out that God just saved her from becoming inducted into the Illuminati, and they rejected her because she was Christian. You know, I want to stop this right here. Tom, if you still have this woman's information, we would protect her anonymity. I would be very interested in having her on the show. She doesn't have to appear on video. She could just do audio only if she's interested, and she doesn't have to tell anybody her name at all. Just putting that out there, Tom, if you're listening. She now spends her time researching spiritual warfare, which led her to very interesting teachers of the Word of God, which brings her to my story. My mom tells me Kay was just telling her about how witchcraft is affecting people and some of the signs that you are under spiritual attack by witchcraft. I'll link the exact video from this guy. Now I would go out and talk about my experiences with my friends at the bar. I was shocked to find multiple of these losers had openly professed to being actual practitioners of witchcraft themselves, and they believed me but wanted to assure me that it wasn't them doing anything to me. Man, yeah, you'd be surprised how many are doing witchcraft out there. I think it's way more common than we think. It's just the degree to which they're doing it. You know, you've got your little crystal altar that you're burning sage on or whatever, and saying some loser Wiccan prayer, and you dress like a goth, and then it's like, then there's additional layers to that, right?
I really wonder how many of them are like floating around us.
I wonder. I don't know. You know what's funny? The idea that they go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick story. Years ago, we had Robbie the Fire Bernstein not sleepover. He performed at my house before it was anything, but all of the Tower Gang was here, Reed included. Clint was here with his ex-girlfriend, this girl Ashton, and I don't really even I'll just say it now. You could look her up, Ashton. I don't remember her last name, but she was involved with like InfoWars. She was like all over the place, and now she's like some kind of weird e-girl that just like e-thought girl. But the day after,
what she's doing now? She's doing like butthole camera stuff.
I think I don't know if she's naked, but I see like her on Instagram, and it's like not great. The day after my mother's moving truck actually gets here, because they were moving from New York. It all happened like boom, boom, boom. And this guy from the church that they were at, they used him. He was a younger dude that was involved with a lot of like political activities, like early Proud Boy stuff. And like he got out, he had a big scar on his face from like getting up at a rally.
Okay.
And then he kind of left this social media sphere. He also warned me about Mersh specifically. Interesting guy. But he's in the back and I'm helping him unload because his brother's late. So I'm helping him unload the truck that he brought, and we're putting it in that back room. And everyone had left at this point because it's late. But Clint slept till 2 p.m. because that's just who he is. And everyone's gone. So I'm just there and I'm helping him unpack. Him and Ashton come out at about 2 p.m. and we're in the back, and they come out to say bye to us.
CD
and
said Birdie.
Ashton Birdie. That's right.
Hey, CD.
So Clint gives me a pound, see you later. And then she comes out like a minute after, and she comes to say bye. She's a nice girl, but like, weird. And she says bye, and she sees this guy behind me, and she sees a ghost. Like, she's just like, and I was just like, all right, whatever. Like, she's weird anyway. So I said bye. They left. They get in the car. They bounce. And then I go and I finish helping him unpack the stuff. And he goes, you know that lady? And I was like, yeah, like, I tell him the deal. I was like, does she just here? And he was like, that lady's a witch. He's like, don't go next to her. And I like, when somebody tells me don't do something, I'm just like, don't tell me what to do. But he just told me, he's like, that lady's a witch. Don't go next to her. And I was just like, okay.
Did he have any kind of elaboration on that? I love how you're just like, okay.
No, that's it. Like, yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to ask, but like, that's what he told me. I remember telling my wife the same thing. I was like, he just called her a witch. And like, I wouldn't just call somebody a witch. Like, I was like, what does that mean? I would love to ask him. I got to find his number again, but I was like, what did you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, look at Tom saying they really are everywhere. Like they really are. I have a good buddy of mine who used to be the
fuck. I'm gonna tell the whole story. Hold on, this is a crazy story.
Go ahead.
Because no, it's even crazier now that I'm putting it together.
Sure.
A week later, we went out. This was in like that other small room where Toad stays in. That's where they were staying in. They had a blow up mattress in there.
The small room that you keep Toad in, yeah.
And like we're cleaning. Christina, she's cleaning out the bed and gonna wash the stuff, and she takes like the sheets out and she like goes to put it in. And a dirty pair of underwear falls out. Like, yeah, like small panties.
Oh, yeah, this is, I've heard this story, like the panty story. And
yeah, it's the panty story.
That is.
And everyone's like,
whose story? Yeah.
Whose dirty panties are these? And they're like, they're just left here. It was just weird. Like, whose is this stuff? And then, like, I don't know, she throws it out. But like, this is the whole thing. And it's a lot of fun now. We're like, did this dirty leave her panties? And it's like, I don't know, Ashton's she's like a skinny girl, but like these were small. And I was like, well, maybe she's just wearing like real small panties. And I didn't get to see what kind of dirtiness, but Christina was like, dirty.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what she said, dirty. And I was just like, I don't know. But then it got me thinking about like these things with like the Merkel story about, do you remember that New Hampshire story he told about the guy that was, or the kid that was in their Christian camp and he had left something but they couldn't even perceive it. They couldn't see it until someone came in and they were like, then they were able to find it was like, there's a sock here. They thought they cleaned out this whole room, but like, no, he left something, but there was like something over it that you couldn't see
I do
it.
remember that.
Yeah, there was like artifacts that were there and they
Well, look
couldn't
at
see
Tom
it.
says that was 100% The Witch, a classic that they do. Yeah, I mean,
They
I'm
leave
aware of this.
panties?
Yeah, like articles of clothing, especially undergarments, especially things that are charged with sexual energy, things that are charged with potentially abusive energy or anything like that. Yeah, that's. I mean, you think about that old thing. I think honestly, this is happening to my dad. I've joked about it before, but this let slip. There was something that cued off like my other family that this lady's putting her panties in my dad's like drink, like coffee. And it's a form of like so my dad, it's weird, he's like unreachable about how bizarre and unhealthy his relationship is and how it is. I came all the way to Florida to try to be with my family for the first time since I was a child, and even though my dad basically abandoned me when I was a kid, I had this like responsibility where I'm like, yeah, he made a choice and I didn't have a choice when I was a kid, but now as an adult I can sort of ease the suffering of an old man. I do play a role in this. I could choose to be resentful to him and just stay away from him, or I can try to mend this relationship because once I'm an adult, it takes two to tango, right? So I went through like
1 second, David, hold
ahead,
on.
go
Christina, you're on the show really quick. I got a question for you.
What's up?
Do you remember when
tilt it to the microphone because we can't
Do you
hear
remember when we found the dirty panties?
Yes.
Yes, there's only been one pair. What do you mean by dirty panties? Like, what was on it? Was it blood? What is it? 'Cause
I can't disclose that information.
you have to. You're on the show.
No, I can't.
Why?
I can't. I just.
Oh, because you're at work?
It would be no, not because I really don't care about that. It would just be wrong of me to do so.
No, f- her. Say what
She's
it
a
was.
witch,
No,
Christina. She's a witch.
No, I'm a decent human being. I
Okay,
can't do that.
we're talking about somebody that this might actually be a witch. So yes, disclose the information now because we need to know.
I can't do it.
Ask her if it was poop and blood, and let's just listen to the way she responds.
Useless. This is the look at this. What is it? What does the Bible say about a wife that should be subservient?
How many possibilities can there be?
It's either
So
or
it
blood.
was poop and blood.
Is it both?
Okay. No, it wasn't both.
It was blood.
She says, okay.
Let me go back to work.
Okay, bye.
Oh, that's so funny. That was all the
Fucking
information that we needed.
wife is useless.
She's
useless.
Dude, did you not read between the lines? She said it. She's like,
What
how
did
many
she say?
things can there be there? I said poop and blood. She said, okay.
So what the? So I said. So which? All right, whatever. I guess you could. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, you know what though? Shortly after, like not shortly after, but like a couple months after, wife gets real sick. Like a lot of shit went sideways in this house.
That's
crazy. Yeah, no, real crazy. And it's like you start to put it together a little bit later. Makes me real angry.
Yeah, rightfully so. Yeah, I think that there's definitely something to that, especially right there. Ryan is saying it. Wait, that's Q. But man, there we go. Menstrual blood, I think, is something that they use often in their witchcraft. So I think that is I understand exactly what that was. I know exactly what that was. She was speaking between the lines. She didn't want to say it outright, but
So what was it? Because I don't get it. I don't speak.
it was blood, dog.
All right, let's keep reading the story.
Look, I mean, really, what could it be? There's three things, and it probably was an amalgamation of all three things: blood and discharge, which is a lot of fun. Okay, all right, so let's go on here. She goes, or he goes. I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to misgender you. So he says his friends are trying to assure him that this is not them, but they are engaging in witchcraft, but they're not doing it against him. He says, which I believe was sincere, but it opened my eyes to how prevalent and common it is to actually meet a pagan practitioner of witchcraft out in the regular world. Yeah, super common, especially, he said he's out in like LA, right? Or California. So I would say really prevalent out there. The more open I was about my experience, the more people were open with me about their occult beliefs. It was wild. Also, I think you need to look into this Bible teacher I was learning from on YouTube. His name is Kevin L.A. Ewing. A Bible teacher and Christian radio host from witchcraft-infested Grand Bahamas. Oh, yeah.
What's up with these islands?
Island people they don't have much. They don't do infrastructure, so they because it's so nice, they're just laying around and drinking. And then when they need things, they need it expediently, so they go to these entities.
It's just squirting. Let me just tell you really quickly, because it is aggravating about what possibly was done here. Oh, he puts a link to a thing, but it's very small. I'll figure it out later. But it's aggravating that, like, because I have a feeling that actually did happen, that is true. I'm not just like being superstitious or making it up.
I don't think you're being hyperbolic. I think you're correct.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny how it really didn't work out at all for you. I'm sure that like you're not watching this show, but it's actually gone horribly wrong for you. Like, I am doing verifiably better.
And you're selling your butthole on Instagram.
Yeah, it's bad. I almost feel pity for you.
As you should. Yeah, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're idiots.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't do that to people, man, because it's just like, even when the people are ignorant of what you're doing, look at how you ended up, you retard.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Not good. Not good.
All right. Keep reading.
Okay,
keep reading.
So he's saying to look into Kevin L.A. Ewing. Maybe we should do that.
We got like 10 minutes to read 3 more pages.
I can do this. No problem.
Right,
I'm actually having trouble finding the exact 48-minute mark that video K sent me, but he has an hour and 20+ minute mark link I'll put here instead. Okay, well, we'll look at that on our own time. Long story continued. I ended up listening to it, and he states something along the lines that if you're trying to worship God, why are you seeing naked people? Oh, wow. That's pretty particular, specific.
Damn,
it's
dog.
because there's witchcraft on your mind. If you see demons while you're trying to worship God, that's a sign of witchcraft coming against you. And lastly, he said in the same video, if you see snakes in your dreams, or visions in my case, it is a sign that you are coming against witchcraft. The bigger the snake, the more witchcraft is coming against you. Well, the snake that I saw was so big, it was the size of a serpentine dragon that devoured me whole with lots of room to spare. That's a whole lot of witchcraft. Yeah, the one that I saw, imagine you had a front door with a screen on it. Its eye was the size of the screen door. So it was peeking in the screen door when I was in the house, and its eye took up the entire screen door.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Big boy. And look, here we are doing this.
By the way, put the in the description, the YouTube video is there now. I edited it for this, and I'll try to remember to do it for the released versions as well. So if people want to watch this, they can check it out.
It's fascinating too, because for that dragon, when it like was beckoning me to battle, I was pumped. I was like, let's go. I was running after it. And that's when I started looking very seriously into spiritual warfare. I stumbled upon some great biblical teachers. I spent days watching countless hours of YouTube videos from this Kevin L.A. Ewing, which led me to so many different videos about the Nephilim, CERN, demonology, generational curses, how to get set free, so much more. I started listening to foundational deliverance movements teachers such as Derek Prince, who was a pioneer in the deliverance resurgence in the Pentecostal church. And from these two teachers combined and a number of videos the algorithm fed me, as if God was guiding it, it opened my eyes to so much realization to the severity and magnitude of the spirit realm on my life, your life, everyone's life. And people are just so ignorant. They're so enslaved by their demons and sin, they don't even realize it. Once you learn this stuff, you start seeing patterns in people's lives that are associated with specific demonic possession that needs to be addressed through deliverance. But it's all about consent with the spirit realm. The demons have power, but they need the dominion over the earth, the legal rights that God gave to man in the Garden of Eden to work their power into the earth. Even God respects consent, generally speaking. God will not force you to get free from your demons. He will guide you toward your destiny, but he will not force you to obey. God made man CEO over the earth. Pardon me. Put us in charge and wants us to be good stewards. Like a father putting his children in charge of the company he created, a father will help his children if they ask for help, but it's their responsibility as the adult he placed in charge of the company to seek out their father's help, if that makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. Which is different from the demons who are constantly trying to get you to give them your consent to do what they please in your life. Back to the main story. it was still very spiritually. I'm sorry, I was still very spiritually immature coming back to God. I was living a bit of a double life for a time. I had gotten delivered from so much, but there were all these people I befriended over the years who I'd grown attached to. That's interesting because I noticed that God has done something very unique in my life, where I've effectively shed everyone that we were just talking about going back to New Jersey for this event with Frank of Quite Frankly, and I was saying like very short list of people that I have to see. In fact, on my side of things, there's really not anybody that I have to see. There's some people that I like to see, but I know it's going to be awkward and weird, and that is about 3 people. And then that's it. You know, for a place that I grew up my whole life, not a whole lot there for me. So I think that was God. I think it's like I have a loyalty complex built within me. If God didn't distance me from those people, then I might have compromised my own values in order to remain loyal to the people who were good to me while I was homeless, specifically.
I think that just happened to me, but yeah, keep reading.
So he says, and I didn't want to leave it behind as they were a bunch of drug addicts, alcoholics, and losers who I cared about and need Jesus. I was still going out for fun, and incredible loneliness driving me to look in the wrong places for a potential wife to come along. And no one could convince me to stop. I started attending a church where I was just one of 5 people who attended. It was brand new. The pastor, Pastor John, was an ex-druggie in his youth and helped pray with me to get set free from my desire to do. It's a hell of a drug. It worked instantaneously. I never did again. And I did something really stupid. I tested my resolve. I hung out with people who I knew would have, just so I could prove to myself that I was free. That's very dumb. I do not suggest anyone else does this, but I did, and I never went back. I was done with it. From here, I read the entire Bible in order from beginning to end over the course of the next 6 months. That's crazy. It would take me 3 years to read the entire Bible. And I learned so much. I experienced overwhelming growth in this time. 14. It just says 14. Here is...
14 of what? Like,
this is 14. Yeah, I don't know.
14.
Interesting. Here's a good side of the story about the time God audibly spoke to me around this time. Want to know what God's voice sounds like? You're about to find out. In this time of getting delivered, I started to pray and worship God in music and Christian meditation to invite the Holy Spirit to speak to me like in the olden days of my early training wheel stage of my salvation, where God would regularly teach and speak to me. I heard many interesting things in my home at this time when I was alone. I'd hear harps play from my room, and when I got there was nothing. But one day I was inviting God, begging God to speak to me. I wanted to hear him audibly, and then I heard it again and again and again. God called my name. Thomas, Thomas, Thomas. And the sound of his voice made me break down. It was so beautiful, too beautiful, impossible to describe, but I will try. The sound of the voice of God sounds like a roar of moving water. The decibels, the sound that makes up the words was that of flowing water. I had this biblically confirmed later by a Christian named Aaron, who I told this to. He showed me what I had witnessed is described in the Bible as exactly what I heard, which blew my mind. Ezekiel 42:2. And I saw the glory of God of Israel coming from the east. His voice was like the roar of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. I answered, "Yes, Lord," already tears in my eyes. And he said over and over, pausing each time, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And each time he said it, a wave of power hit me that shook me to my core. I felt literally crippled by love. That's cool. Like I was going to die in the presence of his voice if he kept speaking. I was weeping uncontrollably and even had to ask God to stop. And he stopped immediately. And my immediate response was, "Oh my God, did I just tell God to stop talking to me? Am I an idiot? What have I done?" I truly know what the Israelites must have felt like in Exodus 20:18 through 19, when it said, all the people perceived the thunder and the lightning flashes and the sound of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood at a distance. They said to Moses, speak to us yourself and we will listen. But let not God speak to us or we will die. Damn, dude, that's wild. It really did feel incredibly intense. It felt good, but like it was not meant for mortals to hear. I was crippled with emotion, uncontrollably weeping, even as God was just telling me he loves me and called me by name. I wasn't ready to quit drinking entirely. Feels like maybe you should have after that. And I still battled back and forth whether God wanted me to quit smoking cigarettes forever or just for that season as a sign of obedience. I was going out at night to my local dive bar, going to church in the early evening, and straight to the bar right after. I told myself it was okay because I wasn't drinking, only playing pool, at karaoke, and having a smoke. But God let me learn the hard way, and I ended up wasting years of my life and going through unnecessary trauma after unnecessary trauma too much to get into. Finally, including a DUI, loss of my favorite, and 2 trucks, basically I was like this for 3 more years from 2020 to 2022, where the pandemic closed everything, and only my local dive bar had the balls to defy the government and stay open secretly, becoming a modern speakeasy based. Not even the churches in my area had the balls to open. It sucked me right back into drinking. Worse than ever in my life, I was living like an alcoholic without being an alcoholic. For another year, in 2023, I decided to take radical action over my life and shape up. I was still drinking, and I left Pastor John's church and started going to that church my mom took me to when I was 21 that operated out of the lady's house, the one that gave me the Freemason Deliverance CD I watched with my brother.
I think he emailed that to us as well.
It's an actual CD, or like not an actual physical CD, but whatever.
Yeah,
was
I think
on
like the video. Yeah, he didn't email a CD. That'd be like, what are you doing?
CD. Like, there's easier ways, right?
Yeah.
All those years ago in Humboldt. It's a stupid word. I won't try to pronounce it again. This new church, who never locked down in 2020, for your information, helped me get delivered from much of my spiritual warfare. Despite still living a bit of a double life, I was coming to an end of it. And the warfare was actually getting worse. It was always darkest before the dawn, as they say. And it got very dark. Basically, I started working out a lot, lost a ton of weight, got jacked. There you go. And started dating more women than I had ever in my entire life at 28. Well, that's not probably good. I don't know. Trying to force it to happen, force it to work. Almost like I could sense I was about to meet my wife, but I didn't know who it would be, how, or when. And I got my heart broken 6 times in 1 year because I gave each woman my all, and all turned out to be disloyal and worse.
And worse.
Such cases. Did they leave crusty panties in your house? You should probably do a sweep.
Probably burn those. Burn those.
Burn 'em. Not good. Then I became nearly depressed. I laid my 10-year-long struggle with crushing loneliness bare to my pastors, and they prayed God would bring me my wife. 2 weeks later, at the end of the year, I met my wife. And we got married 17 months later. Many miracles were involved in this 17 months, confirming this was truly God's plan. And I left everything behind. No more drinking, no drugs, no smoking, nothing. God brought me my wife, who was everything I prayed for since my youth, including her virginity intact. Crazy part is we are the same age. I'm only 6 months older, and we were both waiting for each other for 28 years. And yes, that does make us special in today's society. That is a miracle in the modern world. And that brings me to who I am today. A year into being married now, clean, sober, happy, working as a carpenter like Jesus Christ. Based. No longer tied to people who were holding me back from God's calling. And now looking to take the next step into my destiny, to enter the door God showed me all those years ago and into whatever the Lord has next for a completely sold out follower of Jesus Christ. Hope you guys like my life story. I know it was a lot, and that wasn't everything. I got some good stories, psychedelic drug trip stories, and even more to go over. But this is insanely long already. God bless. God bless you, Tom Surotnak. I'm sorry that it took us so long to make good on our promises to Thomas, but that was
no,
that was
it's
nice,
right,
dude.
It was right. I think it was right because we waited for really no reason. Just like we don't do anything that it's not that we don't want to do, but I feel like me and David do stuff when it's like, okay, now we should do it.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Like we'll just be waiting, and then something says, okay, now do this now. And then we'll just like, okay, yes, we'll do this now.
Yeah,
And
it made sense. Like we read those two yesterday, but then we woke up this morning and it was like, yeah, let's just do this one. That just
this story wouldn't have helped me put together that what happened here if we hadn't had that falling out with Clint. If we would have read your story immediately after, all the other times you were bothering us to read it, it wouldn't have made sense.
Gone right over our heads.
Yeah, I'm just joking with Tom. But yeah, I think there's just a time for everything. And perhaps we were maybe a little bit late on it, but I'm glad that we read it now because it helps a lot of things fall into place.
Honestly, that moment where he was talking about what that, if you're having dreams or visions of this thing or that thing, it means that you're under spiritual attack. But if you're having dreams or visions of a snake, of a serpent, like a dragon, then it means you're going to go up against witchcraft, and it is relevant to the size of it. This thing, when I saw it, sounds a lot like the one that Tom saw. It was black and shimmering, and it was calling me to battle. And when I ran out the front door to go and face it, it retreated up into the clouds and was weaving through the clouds. And it was huge. Like I said, its eye took up the entire screen door. And when the next time I had a dream about it, it was still weaving through the clouds, but it was up above an Aztec temple, and kind of like a touristy vibe, like to the extent where I was like, when I was going to Mexico for that cruise, I was like, am I about to see a temple? Because I didn't know what awaited me in Cozumel. I think it was the name of the place that I was going. Turned out to not be the case, but it was in my mind where I was like, oh, am I about to go and see this thing? Because,
it's there, Cozumel, but I guess it's more inland.
I guess so. And we just didn't end up going to that thing. But that dream, it called to me when I was in my aunt's house in New Jersey. That was when my son was probably like 2 or 3. And that place is where all of this started. That's where my first show, Where I Belong, started, which was me trying to figure out I knew I had this calling to be speaking to people, but I didn't know what that was at all. And it took a really, it took a very true form. Like Where I Belong was very true to where I was at that time. But it just wasn't, it was a shadow of whatever this is. But yeah, it all started there. And now all these years later, here I am doing this still in front of just a better camera and a better mic. When I first started that show, I was just talking into my iPhone on voice memos. Terrible. You would have hated the quality. And but all these years later, this is the bigger version of what I started, what would have been, I guess, 8 years ago now. About 8 years ago now. So it's just interesting because I would have never guessed that serpentine dragon represented witchcraft in any way. But now that makes a lot of sense to me.
Man. Full circle.
Well, thank you, Tom, for 9 pages of really, really wholesome schizo content.
It's more like 30 pages of it, but yes, thank you. Actually, he said that he's starting his own show soon. So very interesting.
That's cool. Let us know if you need any help with anything. And I mean, I don't know if I can only tell you what I did, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll come on your show when you get this all ready, man.
We'll come all over your show.
I'll leave dirty panties on your show. Whatever.
That's it, man. Whatever you need, we got you.
All right, Dave. We have a meeting. Actually, he pushed it back another couple minutes, but I gotta use the bathroom. Yes. So let's wrap this up. This was another good episode. Any last words? Any final words?
Christ is king.
Christ is king. See you guys later.
The greatest hypnotist on planet Earth is a oblong box in the corner of the room. It is constantly telling us what to believe is real.
You can persuade people that what they see with their eyes is what there is to see. You can't. Because they'll laugh in the face of an explanation that portrays the bigger